Stop touching yourself, stop touching yourself, stop touching yourself. Hey y'all, welcome back to Doug's Cars. Special treat for y'all today. Check out this beautiful mint, numbers matching factory D code 1957 Ford Thunderbird. It's one of the Tri-5 Thunderbirds, the first 3 years of production. You can tell it's a 57, it's got the porthole roof, and it has a longer trunk with the spare tire mounted inside. They actually made these longer for the final year of production of the 2-seat model. And this was also the best year of production for these. This has over 20,000 sales back in 1957, which sounds like a lot, but there's probably quite a few left because these were pretty cool cars back in the day. But still, how often do you get to drive one of these? Let's take a look. Underneath this factory air induction hood, yes, it's actually an air induction hood, is a D code. And it's a fairly warm engine. You could get EF, those are bigger motors. This is a one single 4-barrel Carter carburetor on a Y-block 312. You could get a 292 Y-block or a 312 Y-block in this car, and this actually has the upgraded D code 4-barrel Carter. And it does have one drawback. This is a Ford-o-matic. This is actually an automatic. A lot of cars came with the 4-speed manual, but this was a personal luxury coupe. And while this was designed to compete against the Corvette, even matching its 103-inch wheelbase, it was much more of a touring car than the Corvette. And yes, I realize the first few years of Corvette production were all automatics as well, and only 6 cylinders. But by 1957, the Corvette was a thorough sporting car. It had fuel injection as an option, it made 283 horsepower, and midway during the 57 model year, you could get a 4-speed manual. So this does have the Ford-o-matic, which is technically a 3-speed, but is really a 2-speed. It never started out in first gear unless you floored it or put it in low. So it basically only ran through second and third gear. So yes, it is a Ford-o-matic, but it is a gorgeous example. And it does have the upgraded engine. It's not the 292. It doesn't have a whole lot else in the way of options though. These were pretty luxurious for their era and quite expensive. It was a shortened Ford sedan chassis. So it's not going to have the sporting potential of, say, a British sports car from the era. But for a big American V8 2-seat coupe, this thing scoots. When we get inside, I'll show you some of the other cool things about the interior and the fact that it is the last body 2-seat coupe made by Ford until the 1982 EXP, which was that little Escort thing with the frog eyes. I don't know if that was the best thing to follow this up with, but you know, they did make these later on that kind of had this look back in the early 2000s. Probably drove about the same. But this has been a dream car of mine forever. I'm pretty sure this was the car my dad always wanted to have because he was in high school when these were made. So I get that. You know, those dream cars when you were a youth. Will I be happy to meet the dream car, or will it not drive the way I hope it does? That remains to be seen, but it's stunning to look at. You've got clap hand wipers, you've got this, you know, retractable antenna, you've got the hardtop with the porthole and these little vent windows here, and just look at the front end. I mean, the big toothy grille, the Dagmar bumpers, the Thunderbird logo. I mean, it says Thunderbird way bigger than it says Ford, and of course that chrome hood scoop is just amazing. So there's apparently another guy named Doug who makes YouTube videos about cars. Everyone loves to see him get in the back seat of whatever crazy car he's driving. The problem with this is the front seat is a nightmare to get into. It's got the dog leg here. Oh, I don't know if I can get in that way. Oh man. All right, so I gotta put that leg in first, and then this leg in, and now I'm in the car. I gotta move my camera out of the road before someone drives into it. Wow, I can barely see out of this. Now you can see my head. Now you can't. I think I hear a car coming. Crap. Oh man. Oh, Charlie horse. Charlie horse. What a beautiful engine bay. You can see the cork here actually seals right here against the hood and lets air in to the ridge here around the, actually it's get them in the front of the air cleaner there. Beautiful chrome air cleaner. Fan, this is, has power boosted brakes. It's got this giant old school battery, heater box, and it's a Y block. It was a very, very popular Ford engine. As a matter of fact, Thunderbird engine swaps were very popular with all Ford cars. And finding one of these in the junkyard to put in your own vehicle was very much a thing back in the day. But what a cool engine this is. You've got the Thunderbird logos there. I mean, it's just so clean. It's beautiful. You want this car, don't you? One of the reasons these were so successful was the massive trunk on here. So the spare tire is kind of in the way there. Like, yeah, I don't know how that works exactly, but it's a bigger trunk than in the 55s and 56s. They actually extended the car by several inches because a lot of them had the Continental kit, the spare tire here on the back. But hey, this puts the spare tire inside. I don't know how. I guess you could maybe get your golf club bag here at the end. But yeah, I mean, it's all complete. It's all there, and it's a gorgeous trunk. Let's hop inside and go for a ride. All right, one more time. Get this leg under the steering wheel, maybe. Did it wrong. There we go. All right, that leg underneath. There we go. All right, I'm in the car. Wow, it is tiny in here, and like my head is like right up here against this roof. And yeah, just looking around, we've got some decent gauges here. You've got your fuel gauge. You've actually got a tach, which is pretty uncommon then. Oil light, generator light, because of course this wouldn't have come with an alternator, although it has one. Temp gauge, clock, does not appear to be clocking, and 140 mile an hour speedometer. Ooh, master guide, power steering, and a horn. You've got your ignition key switch here, headlights, wipers here, of course the hood's right below it, and your Swift Sure Ford power brakes. Looks like the aftermarket looking tape deck. And let's see, oh wow, the blower control is way over here, but there's your heater and defrost. The glove box is actually pretty good size. Definitely a cardboard liner, but hey, that's interesting. And this is actually a padded dash, which was pretty uncommon for the time. But I like the engine turn metal. We got a light here that I might need a new bulb, but definitely switches on and off. Cloud pan wipers, tiny little. These are so cute. Look how small these are. They're tiny. And you know, your rear view mirror, door handles, window cranks, little vents there that let in some air. Of course, you've got your automatic gear knob here. From what I understand, this car has to be started in neutral. Despite the fact that it has one of the first Prindles, PRNDL, that's where the term came from, the first Prindles ever in existence. These were not really standardized until around this time in the 50s. So yeah, it's getting warm in here. So I think what I need to do is fire this beast up and go for a ride so I can cool off some. Let me get you all mounted up here on the wraparound windshield and we'll go for a ride. Put this key in. Wow, this is really tight. Key is in. Put this in neutral. On. Get a couple of pushes on the gas. Fires right up. Oh, sounds so good. Tach's working. Oh yeah. Nothing like the sound of a V8, right y'all? It's just interesting it has to be started in neutral. I did not know that. Knowing's half the battle. And hey, is no one coming? Drop this sucker into drive. Once again, it starts out in second in the Ford-o-matic, and it's moving by itself. And these brakes are, these power brakes are power. Big steering wheel, really in your way. This is awesome. I mean, I am cramped and crammed in here. But this is so cool. This is so cool. I mean, the steering has no feel whatsoever, but it's not a modern car. It's a 57. It's not going to have that. Giant wheel. Wow, really gets in your way. Oh, little carburation cough there, but that's to be expected with a carbureted car. Sounds so good. I just love the sound of a V8. I mean, who doesn't? Well, some people probably don't. They might drive Toyota Priuses. Turn signal on. Let's go out here. To the main road. Oh man, I can't believe I'm driving this, y'all. This is just so cool. That exhaust, it's so good. That Carter 4-barrel, you can feel it when it, yes. Oh, dropped into third, second, going the national speed limit in the 1980s now. What a cool car this is to drive. Not a cool car to get into a wreck in, because I'm gonna be eating that steering wheel, and that would be the end of Doug's cars. But finally getting some air, little wing windows to get some air in here. Yeah. You were styling in 1957 in one of these. I mean, this was not a cheap car. It moves. I mean, by the mid-50s, most American cars were decent-sized V8s and had decent power and decent acceleration. Maybe not decent brakes, but yes. I am driving something unlike anything else on the road around here right now. All these gray crossovers. I'm sorry, I'm driving a white T-Bird. You're just gonna have to get out of my way. This like coralish interior is really cool. I mean, it's not bright red, it's not orange. It's almost got a little like pink hue in it. I mean, if you know the real name of this color, please drop it in the notes below, because I'm not sure, but it goes really well with the white. And now that I'm in here, I don't feel as cocooned as when I first got in. I think it was just a reaction to having to clamber into this car, and it's being a very tight driving position to get in here. Now, this car doesn't have some of the options that were available in 57s. It doesn't have the power windows, which could be a positive or a negative, depending on how you look at it. But these cars also came with a 4-way power seat, and this does not have that. It's got the normal seat. But what the power seat would do is when you'd open the door, it would actually automatically glide back. Like some modern cars do that. My town car does that. And I'm pretty sure the seat's all the way back now anyway, so it really wouldn't help me get in and out. But if you were a shorter driver, and I can't imagine what that would be like, you would literally be like turning the steering wheel in your belly if you were shorter. But apparently this fancy power seat would actually glide back. And I know on an episode of Wheeler Dealers many years ago, Mike and Ed, I believe, when Ed was still on the show, worked on one of these, and they added the power seat to it, and it was really cool to see the mechanism and how all that works. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that because this car doesn't have that option, but it has the Y-Block 312 with the Carter 4-barrel, so that is definitely an upgrade. Yes. There's just something about a look. I mean, I'm doing about 1,700 RPM, going here along 45 miles an hour or so. And, you know, in 1957, the interstate highway system was nowhere near complete. So a lot of your driving in this car was going to be at these speeds, and it's comfortable. It's got just enough noise to be fun. The keys are hanging on my left leg. My right leg is touching the steering wheel. And, yeah, brakes are pretty good. I mean, they're power brakes. The steering is definitely heavy, and this wheel is gigantic. Now that it's warmed up enough, I should be able to do a nice full throttle acceleration without the carburetor being a problem. This carburetor. I mean, I get it. I know why people like these. I mean, these were old cars when I was a kid, but you knew they were special even back then. This wasn't just a 20-year-old Ford. This was a 30-year-old Ford, I should say. This was special. Just from the look of it, you knew there was something under that hood, and you knew that it was going to be a fun car to drive. Even if it's not a modern car, this thing moves. And it would be a blast for anyone. Would I recommend daily driving it? Of course not. This is like a, 100-point car or something. I mean, I'm not a judge. And it's got a cassette deck and a couple other things like that that probably would have to be changed back if you were to take this to a concours event, but it's beautiful in here. It's beautiful out there, and I've seen the underside of this car, and it's beautiful underneath. It looks just like it does on the top. So, As I say a lot on my videos, if you have the opportunity to drive one of these, I highly recommend it. You will not be so disappointed. I am glad I met my childhood hero in this car. I mean, it just feels special. And you know, it could be because it's a 1950s car, which I'm not used to driving, and maybe it doesn't feel as special when it's compared to other 1950s cars. But I drove that Buick Roadmaster a couple months back, and you know, that felt really cool too. But this definitely feels like a smaller car, which obviously it is. It's not a big four-door sedan, but it is based on a regular Ford sedan chassis, just shortened to the same wheelbase as the Corvette. I wonder why they decided to copy the Corvette exactly. But it is more of a Grand Touring car than any of the early Corvettes were. Those are meant to be sports cars. Even though they came with automatics for the first couple of years, but whatever. And straight sixes. But this big Y-block, I can see why people wanted to get this engine and put it in their own car, whatever it be, when these were, you know, wrecked, because I presume that these were wrecked fairly often because they're fast. Some gas here, the beans. Yes, 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 yes. 100 times yes. That was about 3,800 RPM, and we were doing about 60. Yeah, I mean, the brakes are interesting. They're a little bit all over the place because it's an old drum brake car, and that's just the way they were. It's not a modern car for that, but that's cool. Yeah, that was fun. Y'all, rather than trying to get out again, I'll just go ahead and end my video from inside the car. What a blast. I mean, I've seen this car at my friend's warehouse here for a long time, and I've always wanted to drive it. And now that it might be coming available on the market, I got the opportunity to drive it, make a little video of it, and play with the horn. And man, I'm just grinning like the Cheshire Cat, right? Ear to ear. This thing was so much fun, and I wasn't sure how much fun it would be when I first was handed the keys, and it is a blast, and it is beautiful, and it is completely well done. And if this car does go up for sale and you're looking for a 57 D-code T-Bird in white with the Ford-o-matic, this is the one you want. So if that goes up on the auction site, I'll post a link in the description below, but otherwise please hit subscribe so you can see more fun cars on Doug's Cars. I'll be coming to you with something cool real soon. Thanks y'all so much for watching.